My dear audience, thanks you for spending your invaluable time in coming to our event and enjoying it and contributing to the development of our club. We and our club truly appreciate your presence and your participation. So before I start introducing the event, I would like first of all introduce you the club, the aim, and what we did throughout the semester, though it hasn't ended yet. So the aim of the club is to give the opportunities to students to give speeches. So throughout the semester, we have done overall 6 rehearsals and 1 general club meeting, where we chose people who came, decided that they are going to give speech, and initiated to become speakers. So we have now 3 outstanding speakers who are today going to give speeches. So here are the categories of speeches that any student can give. So you can give a speech on life stories, stand-up, persuasive, informative, inspirational, and motivational. And also, when we together with the club and the current speakers were discussing to create a new format for speeches, we decided that it would be better to create debate. So we were looking and researching what kind of debate, and we decided that it would be better to do an individual debate. Like when you, with your own ideas, your own values, debate with someone who has opposite ideas and opposite values, and you know the topic beforehand, and you know that you don't have to research because you already own all those ideas. So we are going to start practicing this format right after this speech, this event, and then we'll do an event on this format next semester. So there are many people, other members especially, asking, well, I want to contribute to the club, but I don't want to give a speech. So what can I do for you? So for those who are willing to ask that question, I have a wonderful answer. And our club and our team created roles that through which you can contribute to the development of our club. So here they are. So you can become a club ambassador, thus doing the job that I am doing now, introducing the club to others, going to classes, asking for your teachers to give you like 5-10 minutes of their class time to introduce the club and bring new interested members. Or you can be a listener, like where in the club we are the ones who listen to the speeches and go to the rehearsals and give comments, but we need another opinion. We can't always be right or notice everything. That's why we need listeners to give comment that they feel is important for the audience. So you can be an article writer or editor. In the beginning, I forgot to mention that we also have a web page. We created a web page via WordPress so that our members can be more engaged in the job we do. And that's why there's also a role where you can be an article writer or edit articles so that you are more engaged in the club affairs. Or you can be an organizer, as we are doing a lot of events. It is already the second event that we are organizing. We need a helping hand so that it is more efficient. And also you can be a photo editor, as we are doing photo shoots before the event and we need someone to help us. Or you can be a photographer, videographer, or Facebook post manager, because all these roles play as crucial importance as being a speaker. So our first event was Tips on Public Speaking with Yelena Boroyan. Through this event, we wanted to give the opportunity to students to understand what public speaking is and what is it that we as a club want from students. So there was a powerful message that Ms. Davtyan gave to students who were present at that time, and it was the audience always wants you to succeed. A lot of people are really frustrated when giving a speech, and we want them to make sure that the audience really wants you to succeed. They never want you to feel bad or to fail. So it is time for our second event, and it was decided, like we started rehearsing even before the first event, and it was thought that we are going to give the opportunity to speakers, to our peers, to give speeches. And here we are today with our outstanding speakers. And now I would like to present our first speakers. So the first speaker is Yelena Boroyan. As there's a stereotype that people say that, oh, in the club they're always freshmen. No, they are not. Yelena is a sophomore. She's from business major, and she's going to talk about, the title of her speech is Women Can Change Armenia. And the next speaker is Anatoli. Anatoli is freshman from English and Communications, and he is going to criticize feminism. And then we have Anushik, and she's going to compare Eurasian Economic Union and European Union and give you an idea of what these both are. So at the end, we are going to have a Q&A session, and then we are going to give prizes in the following places. Best comment, best question, and the best speaker. So thank you for coming and sharing your day with us, and enjoy.
Hello everyone, I'm Yelena. And before I start, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and remember as many prominent women that you think have changed our country in the following fields: business, politics, and technology. Remember these women, come up with an approximate number of the powerful women that you recalled, and shout out the number.
5.
5, 4, 6. Now do the same exercise, only replace women with men. How many men can you remember that have changed our country in those fields? 100, 17, I think it's a bit more, closer to 100. So in case of women, it was 5, 6, 10, and in case of men, 100. The difference between the numbers is what I call a major loss of human capital. More precisely, female capital. It is not a secret that women have held a traditional nursing, inactive, and housekeeping role, and their value has been vastly underestimated in influential fields such as politics, business, and technology. Apparently, women's conventional responsibility of raising their children also holds great importance. They educate our future generation, and in that aspect, they invest a major capital in our future. However, a more direct involvement of women in influential fields will make everyone in our country better off. The following fields comprise the foundation of the potential changes that women can bring to the world. The first is politics. The political sphere holds an immense importance in the arrangement of our country. The laws that get reinforced by our local government, the candidate that gets elected as your president, and the relationship between your countries and the neighboring ones all affect your daily lives much more than you think. An increasing female participation in the field will lead to more benevolent policies towards women, and thus vastly improve the lives of women and men. As we know, women and men are interconnected on every level. And so, a more benign well-being for women will also improve men's well-being. For instance, domestic violence is a serious issue in Armenia that affects a myriad of families. Note that I said families, not exclusively women, which means women, children, and men. Stricter policies towards domestic violence would not only be a saver for more women from domestic abuse, but also help men regulate their emotions in more proper ways, and thus improve the overall well-being of men, children, and women. Or consider the sustainability of women's right to vote. A diverse range of voters will ensure the election of a candidate that most correctly represents our government and our society. More women holding positions in the government will ensure the correct implementation of these policies. Now, I'm going to ask you to do the same exercise that we did in the beginning. How many women can you think of that currently hold positions in the National Assembly? 3, 5, 7. How many men can you think of that hold positions in the National Assembly? 10, 100? Yes, it's close to 1,000, maybe someday. The difference between the numbers is the societal gender bias. The main reason for the lack of female participation in politics is not the lack of potential in women, but rather how the society sees, or rather doesn't see, that potential in women. The core traditional values of our society have hindered women's entry into those fields and the full and comprehensive realization of the potential that is present in women. Now, I'd like to bring some statistics on women holding political power in Armenia. In 2007, through the legislative decree called Gender Quota Law, more Armenian women were encouraged to get involved in politics. That year, only 7 women occupied parliamentary positions. The percentage of female ministers and deputy ministers has never risen above 11% for the past 5 years in Armenia. Another important field for initiating great changes is the business environment. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do the same exercise with the difference between the numbers, as we're most likely going to get the same results. So I'm not going to torture you with numbers anymore. An increasing female participation in the business environment will add more diversity in the field, which in its turn will lead to more innovations. Another way women can have a colossal value in the field is through their remarkable self-promoting ability, which helps them achieve success in selling their product. Other female qualities that will have a practical value in the field are women's remarkable emotional intelligence, which aids in marketing and communication, their multitask orientation, which helps them manage several jobs simultaneously and thus achieve results more efficiently, and the great amount of patience and commitment to their goals. Therefore, an increasing amount of women taking the dip of starting businesses and occupying managerial positions will make everyone in our country better off. Remember when I said I'm not going to torture you with numbers anymore? That was not entirely true. Statistics. In 2010, by the Grant Thornton International Business Survey, it was found that 29% of managerial positions were occupied by women in Armenia. However, this figure declined to only 23% in 2011. And lastly, we should strive to an increasing female participation in the technological field. The IT-driven world that we live in nowadays calls more and more demand for IT specialists. Unfortunately, the majority of these specialists in Armenia is comprised of men. Like other fields, technology will be utilized more abundantly and competently if it is created by a more diverse range of people. I remember once during the class, a girl mentioned that one of the first creators of a computer language was actually a woman called Ada Lovelace. And then a guy in the same class responded to her by saying, well, then it's no wonder it's so hard to understand. He meant that because the first creator of a computer language is a woman, it's so hard to understand. It might be true, but because it is hard to understand, doesn't mean it does not hold great value. Technology is one of the main sources of export in Armenia, and so it's essential to involve as many bright minds in the field as possible. After all the depressive statistics, the important question is how to initiate a change. Like mentioned in the beginning, the core of the issue lays in the heart of societal discrimination that obstructs not only men's, but also women's belief in their own power. Educational and encouraging programs such as Women in Business and Girls in Tech, and legislative decrees encouraging more women to get involved in politics are already used to boost active female participation in the fields. However, the fundamental step for initiating the real change is constructing correct societal values and beliefs. It is making young girls and women believe in themselves and make Armenia great again. Thank you.
Most of the population of the globe has a negative attitude towards feminism as a whole. So now I'm going to broaden your understanding of feminism, the ideology behind it, and the stages of its development. Feminism is a range of political movements, ideologies, and social movements that share a common goal to define, establish, and achieve political, economic, personal, and social equality of sexes. This includes seeking to establish educational and professional opportunities for women that are equal to such opportunities for men. We need the slides. Okay, let's talk about the first wave. So the first wave feminism was a period of feminist activity and thought that occurred within the time period of 19th and early 20th century throughout the world. It concentrated on legal issues, primarily on gaining women's right to vote. The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention which advertised itself as a convention to discuss the social, civil, and religious condition and rights of women. In 1800, women had little control over their lot in life. An average married female gave birth to 7 children. Higher education was off limits. Wealthier women could exercise limited authority in the domestic sphere, but possessed no property rights or economic autonomy. Lower-class women toiled alongside men, but the same social and legal restrictions applied to this stratum of society as well. 19th Amendment, which was ratified in 1920, gave women right to vote. Okay, so let's move on to the second wave. As you see, I support the first wave. So now let's move on to the second one. The second wave of feminism started after the women were forced out of their workplace after the end of World War II, and essentially ended with the failure to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. It has first began in the early 1960s in the United States, and eventually spread throughout the Western world and beyond. Whereas first wave feminism focused mainly on legal issues, sexuality, family, the workplace, reproductive rights, de facto inequalities, and official legal inequalities. Second wave feminism also drew attention to domestic violence and marital rape issues. Establishment of rape crisis and battered women's shelters, and changes in custody and divorce law. Feminist-owned businesses such as bookstores, credit unions, and restaurants were among the key meeting spaces and economic engines of the movement. Second wave feminism has achieved a little but significant for them goals. For instance, Margaret Thatcher became the first female prime minister while 95% of the government was ruled by male. International Women's Day was formalized as an annual event by UN General Assembly. The Domestic Violence Act became law in Britain. Women were unable to obtain a court order against their violent husband. And this range of second wave feminist achievement can go on and on. Alright, so now I'm going to criticize the third wave, and I'm really sorry for those extremely devoted feminists if I hurt your feelings during my speech. So the third wave arose partially as a response a response to the perceived failures of second-wave feminism and the backlash against initiatives and movements created during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. So it has started as a response to the second wave, but never really reached its goals. All right. The original women's equality movement had a lot of ground to stand on. Yes, women should have all the rights that men have. But the year is 2017. I hate to break it down to third-wave feminists, but we do have those rights. You feminists sitting here, please school me in how awful we really have it. While you're ranting on about equal rights and how hard it is to find a job and get equal pay as a woman, remember, men and women are different, scientifically different. According to a September 22, 2011 Life Science article, some of the genetic differences between men and women range include men having more body hair, more body hair, deeper voices, flat chests, and a more muscular build. Additionally, several recent studies prove that there are differences in the way men's and women's brains function and perform. These neurological differences are linked to why men and women have different life goals, desires, habits, and why each gender tends to excel in different fields. The problem today is that instead of fighting for equality, third-wave feminists seem to be fighting for superiority. This group of women cannot accept the fact that women and men are genetically different. They pursue different careers and live different lives. They aren't satisfied with women being able to vote, run for public office, go to college, work in their desired field, and etc. Instead, feminists want women to get the jobs over men, get paid more than men, be accepted into colleges over men, and more. I love you. That's not equality, that's dominance, and complete abuse of affirmative action. It should not be gender that decides things for a person. It should be personal drive, race, achievements, and capability. Also, as we all know, life isn't fair, but having women try to dominate does not make it fair either. People should not be hired because of gender or race. People should be hired based on equality, based on quality of work that they perform. And I want to finish my speech with my last sentence. So it isn't just men or women that need to realize the true notion of feminism, but also many feminists themselves. Thank you.
Here is my outline. I will first briefly talk about the historical background of the economic unions, then about the influence of Eurasian Economic Union on Armenia, and also the benefits of joining the EU. But before I start, I have a little question for you. Please now raise your hand if you think that Armenia should stay in the Eurasian Economic Union. Okay. Now please raise your hand if you think that we have to leave the Eurasian Economic Union and join the European Union. Okay. Later we will see if you change your mind after my speech or not. In today's world, it's very difficult to remain economically stable. That's why many states join each other to have some economic balance, to be economically stable and be powerful together. So there are several economic unions in the world: the European Union, the Eurasian Economic Union, the Union of South American Nations, and so on. Starting 2010, Armenia has negotiated with the Eurasian Economic Union to join it. And in July 2014, the contract was already ready for pre-registration. But in September 2014, during his visit to Moscow, our president decided that we have to join the Eurasian Economic Union. So the contract was signed there, and note that this important decision was made only in one night. So let's briefly talk about the historical backgrounds of the unions. The Eurasian Economic Union was established on May 29, 2014 by the leaders of Belarus, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Now it's an economic union of 5 countries: Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Kyrgyzstan. The purpose of this kind of unions is to facilitate trade among the member states, and to improve their economies. Later we will see if the Eurasian Economic Union improved our economy or not. The European Union is an economic and political union of 28 states, which are primarily located in Europe, such as the UK, Italy, France, and so on. Okay, I think this is enough about the historical background. Let's move on. So when you ask our president why he decided that we have to join the Eurasian Economic Union, he said that it's beneficial for our economy and also in terms of our social and military political issues. So let's talk about this first separately. Now the economic influence. During Armenia's 3 years of membership in the Eurasian Economic Union, Armenia's GDP reduced by 8%. This means that now less products are made in Armenia than they used to be made before the contract was made. Unemployment rate increased by 14%, the state debt increased by 10%. If in 2014, when the contract was signed, our state debt was $4.4 billion, in 2015 it became already $5 billion, and in 2016, $5.9 billion. So this year it's predicted to be more. So our state debt is increasing, even though we are in economic union now. According to facts, Russian investments were more before the contract was signed than they are now. You can see that in 2014, our Russian investments to Armenia were 167 billion Armenian dram, but in 2016 it was only 81 billion Armenian dram. This year is predicted to be fewer again. In the world trade market, Eurasian Economic Union's market is only 0.5%. In many important documents, its name is not even mentioned. But you can see that the European Union's market is nearly 40 times bigger, it's 20%. So because of our membership with the Eurasian Economic Union, we cannot develop our trade with this huge market. Armenian exports to the 95% of exports from Armenia to the Eurasian Economic Union go to Russia. You can see that we have trade with Belarus only for 0.7% and with Kazakhstan only for 0.1%. So you can see that we don't cooperate with these states. Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan are not even among the first 20 state trade partners of Armenia. So to trade with Russia, we don't have to be a member of the Eurasian Economic Union because we traded with Russia before the contract was signed as well. Now let's talk about the GDP per capita. What's the GDP per capita? It's the total amount of money that an average person spends in a country during a year in a specific country. So you can see that in Russia, which is the wealthiest and biggest country in the Eurasian Economic Union, an average person spends $26,500 during a year. But in Luxembourg, which is a member of the European Union and is the wealthiest or the smallest country in the European Union, an average person spends $104,000 during the year. So we can surely say that it's better to cooperate with the countries of the European Union because we can develop with them more quicker. The Eurasian Economic Union will develop and diversify slower because there is only one country that applied to become a member of it, that is Tajikistan, while the applicants of EU are Macedonia, Mongolia, Serbia, Albania, Turkey, and Ukraine. Now, free trade zones. The Eurasian Economic Union has a free trade zone only with Vietnam, while the EU has a free trade zone with the USA, Canada, Sweden, Moldova, Turkey, and many other states. We can say that in the Eurasian Economic Union, Russia is dominant. We can say that it controls and runs the union because the Eurasian Economic Union's GDP, the 86% of Eurasian Economic Union's GDP belongs to Russia. But you can see that in case of European Union, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain together have 80.3% of EU's GDP. It's already several years that Russia is under sanctions by the USA and some European countries. Because of that reason, ruble's value is decreasing, and that has a direct effect on our economy because we are in the same economic union with Russia. The deportation of Armenian citizens, from Russia is already a common thing. We heard that some people are deported even by some unfair reasons. Now, driver license. According to a new law, the foreign citizens who want to have a job in Russia have to have some Russian driver licenses. So Armenian people can no longer have a job there with a national driver license. This is enough about the economic union, so let's move on to the social influence. Because of our membership with the Eurasian Economic Union, prices of nearly 900 products will rise over time. Maybe you don't feel the increase in prices, it is just because it happens gradually, but it actually happens little by little. So, to import medicine, we used to pay 0% for customer duty, which means import tax. But in the Eurasian Economic Union, it becomes from 8 to 12%. For sugar, we used to pay 10%, it will become 25%. For importing foreign cars, we used to pay 10%, it will become from 25 to 200%. So you see the difference. For natural gas, we pay 149 Armenian dram per cubic meter. But many people say that it's very low, but in Belarus, which is in the same economic union with us, people pay 6 times less for natural gas. And what is surprising in Ukraine, which we can consider as an enemy for Russia, the people pay almost the same amount for natural gas as we do. Now, military and political influence. The 4-day April War happened in 2016. Was a proof that we have no military political benefit from the Eurasian Economic Union, because there was no real help during the war. Moreover, Russia continues to provide the 85% of Azerbaijan's weapons, among which there are some anti-human weapons. Belarus also sells weapons to them, so they both business is more important than the peace of our country. Nazarbayev, the president of Kazakhstan, always tries to find a way for not visiting to Armenia. Even in the days of April War, instead of coming to Armenia and helping us, he canceled the meeting that was to happen in Armenia on the days of war. So you see all these disadvantages that we have because of our membership with the Eurasian Economic Union, but actually there is a good alternative, which is the European Union. Now let's see some of the advantages. In case of becoming a member of EU, Armenia would have nearly 40 times bigger market. We would not be affected because of other countries' sanctions, and according to famous economists, our GDP would increase by 2.7%, the state budget would be increased by $146 million, exports by 15%, salaries would rise by 2.7%, poverty would essentially be reduced. Moreover, in case of becoming a member of EU, Armenia would get 4,865 million euros just as a gratuitous grant, 5 million euros for reconstructing roads, 650 million euros special for the North-South Highway, 1.8 billion euros for constructing channels, 340 million euros for reconstructing dams, 500 million euros for constructing a drip water irrigation system, and finally 460 million euros for reconstructing schools. So you see all these contributions that they were going to do in Armenia. So now I will ask the question again. Raise your hand if you still think that we have to stay in the Eurasian Economic Union. Okay. Now raise your hand if you think that we have to leave with that union and become a member of the European Union. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, guys. So now it's time for your questions and comments to our speakers. Should we start with the questions first or the comments first? Margarita. We'll start with the comments first. So who would like to give comments? Anyone? You will have a prize. You want to give comments? Yeah. Okay. You can just ask people you would like to ask.
Just comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like just to thank all the speakers for giving us the opportunity to become more inspired and motivated. And now I'm 100% sure when we leave this room, we'll be much more motivated and think that females actually can rule the world.
Okay, do you have any specific comments to one of the speakers? Anybody else? You have prizes, guys. Should I keep the prize for me? Okay. So, any questions?
I have a question. The last speaker. Does Armenia really have a choice between EU and the Eurasian economic market?
So we were negotiating with the European Union for a long time to become a member of it, but we're now a member of the Eurasian Economic Union. So actually we could become a member if we tried a lot. Because, for instance, Georgia tried for many years and now it is in the Union.
Okay, guys, you're welcome to give your opinion. It doesn't matter if it's a good opinion or a bad opinion. How they presented, about their skills, about the topic. You can ask questions. Anything.
So we had 3 different topics, and what impressed me is how excited you were to talk about things. Okay, something is wrong with the microphone. Sorry. So what impressed me is that every single one of you believed in your own position. It was very clear. So whether you convinced people around you, I'm not sure, but you were convincing, you were prepared, you used data, that was impressive. I would include in the future, several opinions of, so instead of just talking about feminism or EU, or maybe you could include the statistics or what people were talking, and if there was a survey, how many people in Armenia would actually support. But you did use the people in the auditorium to get the, who is against and who is for it. So very impressive, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you. I'd actually like to compliment the speakers to go beyond technical difficulties and go on with the show, so to speak. I know you're already nervous. I know the knees are shaking and the heart is pounding, and when the technical difficulties add, another element of stress, it's almost unbearable. But you just flew through it, and I think the gentleman even alluded to technical difficulties, which brought a laugh from the audience. So my compliments to you for going on with the show as you did. I'll drink.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Just an opinion, I would like
To hear more about the disadvantages that Armenia would have joining you. I mean, there are disadvantages, and we discussed only the advantages, but there would be, of course, disadvantages.
Thank you for your question. I did a hard research about the Eurasian Economic Union and tried to find advantages and disadvantages. So I personally don't see any disadvantages of becoming a member of EU, but actually they exist. So that's a good comment. I will work on it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Any questions about feminism?
Do you agree with what she said about feminism?
Actually, I would like to ask you about the third degree of feminism you mentioned. Yeah, I've done research myself, but I've never actually gotten to the point where there was a comment that women actually wanted to underestimate men's power. So could you talk more about that part, because it was kind of blurry to me.
I have a really good video on YouTube. So the third way, what I didn't include in my presentation, in my speech, is many of the girls from the U.S. say that the third wave considers also like the difference between men having more body hair. As I said, like they're saying the girls are like, oh, why can't we have more body hair? Like underpots. Being honest with you, underpots having. So like they're like, why can't we have that hair? And when we have that hair, why are we judged in the society? That's the third way. Do you want to change the morals in Armenia? Do you want to do that?
Change the morals?
Yeah. Like, girls in the US are saying that they're...
What I'm saying is that not the majority of the feminists don't like belong to the third wave.
Yeah, I know.
Because most of the women are fighting for their equal rights, doing the same job and also getting the same amount of money. So that was my thing.
Yeah, whoever supports you're right. Whoever supports feminism in Armenia are supporting the two ways, the first one and the second one. They don't even know about the third wave. Third wave is about having like women in the US say like, why can't we have beards?
That's USA.
That's disgusting, you know. It's not a thing that Armenia should have, you know.
I've never heard that.
I have a really good video on YouTube. If we can turn it on right now, but I don't think so. I'll send the link to you if you want. Any other questions?
As far as body hair, I mean, if you go back in history of France, and look at the French women, they're notorious historically for.
Yeah, it's not about they can't have body hair. They can, but they're judged by the society. That's what they don't want to do.
They're judged by men.
Actually, yeah. Well, if you would have like sitting next to you a woman with all body hairs and hairy, would you be like surprised or like?
I would respect your choice.
That's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good answer. Well, yeah. Basically, they're judged by men. Yeah, that's true.
If we're talking about women's rights, then we need to understand that. I mean, everybody. If I'm respecting your right not to shave, for example, even though that's not all feminism is about, then other person is saying that if you're not pushing your values on me, then how can I push my values on you? So when you say men in Armenia, do we change morals? I don't think it's the morals. I think it's the norm that was made, the norm by a group of people in the past. And you're right, the French women are notorious, and they think that that's one way to, you know, that's their choice, and people need to respect it. Whether you like it personally, that's a different question.
Yeah, so today I want to persuade you kind of not like the...
Nobody here.
Yeah. That's my speech. If you don't like it, that's fine. Yeah. Any other questions?
Last comment, it's when you were making, if many decisions, feminism is often fighting the fact that many decisions about women are made by men. You can see nowadays in the States or in Armenia, you know, whether the health insurance will cover the contraceptive, abortions or whatever. A lot of the decisions in Armenia here, like for women to have abortions, those decisions are not necessarily made only by women. It's also by male person in the family. I'm talking about a married situation, but it doesn't matter. So decisions about women should be made by women. And I think one of the achievements of feminism would be, I'm not a feminist, but I do see some things that I completely agree with.
Yeah, you're right. But it's hard to change in Armenia. To change the society, the concepts of it, it's really hard to change. But I have a funny story. Whoever follows your opinion, like you said, if you want to change the society, right? Girls who want to change the society probably never get married in Armenia, because men are kind of their norm is to rule women. You know what I'm saying? In Armenia, everybody lives in Armenia here, right? But I don't think it's right. I'm not saying it's right. It's just the way Armenia is, right? And you've got to try really hard to change it.
That's true. Okay, we have another comment here.
Just one comment about the feminism. So he talked about like stop the body hair and other things, but that wasn't the most important part of the third wave feminism, because like the most important part and the most important issue that the third wave raised was that in the first two like waves we talked about women inequalities, but it was mainly about white women inequalities, so we didn't go into the racism and other stuff. And in the third wave, the main problem that they tried to solve was that we talk about every individual woman, about racial inequalities, about their ages, everything. So we include every type of a girl in that feminism. So that was the main issue of the third wave feminism, but you sort of went to the extremities, extreme thoughts and body hair, and all those stuff is okay, but it's not like the most important part of it. So because you told about it, we saw the third wave feminism as something negative, whereas it wasn't really.
So you're basically saying the third wave is all about the race?
It's mostly about the race. It's mostly about the inner inequalities in the women. So when we say women, we mostly imagine that normal white women, but not other stuff.
I've done a really good research, but I haven't found anything about the race. I'm really... I'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Any other questions?
Anyone else?
I have a question for our first speaker. My research shows that all Armenians, most of Armenians, try to answer the question where to go to West or go to Russia. And I come to the point that we have very serious problems in our mentality, in our how we think about building infrastructure, our social, threats, opportunities, how we change ourselves. And most of the time, our discussions which way to go lead us to give away our problems for the people like Putin or like Obama or nowadays Trump for solving our problems. In my point of view, our youngsters, our president, our parliament should do everything for building our inner infrastructure. At that times, we will have all the monies we need for building our infrastructure, for doing anything. That's my point of view, and that's a much more interesting question to ask rather than where to go. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody else? No one? Another question?
No, comment for another.
Okay.
And I want to thank for Anatoli for his courage, because in nowadays it is very hard to take that
really hard.
Yes,
really
and discuss it from the another angle. Thank you very much for your courage and for your work.
Thank you.
Anyway, you've done a great job. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Are we done? Okay. I guess we're done. So we're waiting to see who's the best speaker. Anushik. If you want to.
Thank you very much for your words. This is actually my first public speech and I'm very excited about that. Thank you very much.